Welcome to the Twin Sister Docs podcast. I am Dr. Delana Wardlaw.
And I am Dr. Elana McDonald.
And together, we are
The Twin Sister Docs.
Dr. McDonald. Today, we're going to discuss safety, a variety of safety issues. One, let's start with fire.
Yes. So, Dr. Wardlaw, what are the key things that we want to make sure our listeners remember when we're talking about fire safety?
So fire can be a scary situation. I've never been in a fire. I hope to never be in a fire. However, we know when you're in the moment, sometimes panic is set in. So we want to kind of prepare ourselves to make sure that we can get out quickly and safely. So one,
Make sure we have working smoke detectors.
yes, on every level of your home, including the basement. Now, the newer smoke detectors typically last about 10 years, but you still have to check them regularly to make sure that they are working.
And sometimes they go off depending on what's going on in the kitchen. You're cooking, you're burning the food, you inadvertently test your smoke detector.
Yes. So smoke detectors are key. Two, you want to make sure that you have a safety plan. So if a fire breaks out, you want to know how you can get out of your home. And you want to make sure you practice that safety plan, the whole family. Do it in the daytime and at nighttime, because sometimes things look differently at nighttime.
And it's important to remind your children as you go through these safety drills to leave everything behind. We're not going back to get our toys. We're not going back to get our favorite shoes. And also remind them not to hide. It is important not to hide under beds, not to hide in the closet. It is important to get out of the house.
Very, very important, Dr. McDonald. I just want to step back to the smoke detector.
Mhm.
If you do not have the ability to be able to obtain a smoke detector, you can call 311.
In Philadelphia, it's 311.
Yeah.
In other states, there may be another number that you can call, but there is a local number to call to have the police to get a working smoke detector.
Yes, the fire department and our great city of Philadelphia will actually come out and install those fire detectors for yourself. You do have to make the call if you are having trouble obtaining a fire detector on your own.
Smoke detector.
A smoke detector on your own.
Yes. So again, we want to go over what the key things we want to do if there's a fire, but ultimately we want to know about the fire as soon as it happens, and a smoke detector is the best way. So please make sure that you have working smoke detectors in your home, your other family members, your friends, your coworkers, your colleagues, anyone. Just make sure that everyone around you has working smoke detectors in their homes and their apartments.
The other thing is fire extinguishers. Fire extinguishers can help put out small fires. Now, if your house is engulfed in a fire, then of course you're not going to go for the fire extinguisher. But having a fire extinguisher and knowing how to use it.
Yes.
And there is an acronym that is used called P.A.S.S, where you pull the pin out of the fire extinguisher. A, you aim at the base of the fire. S, you squeeze the handle. And the other S is that you sweep from side to side.
So you're moving the fire extinguisher
From side
back
to
and forth.
side. Yes. So P.A.S.S, P.A.S.S. If you have a fire extinguisher, make sure that you know how to use it.
Well, it's important to know how to use it before there's an actual incident.
Exactly.
So you need to read the instructions and go or practice it before there's an actual fire, because again, if there's a small fire, if something happens in your kitchen,
Yes.
and it creates a small fire, obviously if it's a big fire, as Dr. Wardlaw said, you're getting out of the house. But most people don't know how to use a fire extinguisher, so you need to actually read the directions.
Yes. Before the fire.
Yes,
Yes.
exactly.
Okay. Another thing that we can do to, protect ourselves is one, close the door when you sleep. Now, I know some people have issues with closing doors in their homes, but closing the door does help to prevent the spread of the fire. So the fire department uses a phrase called close before you doze. So just simply close your door. So if the fire breaks out, then it can help prevent the spread of fire. But two, also gives you the ability that if you go to that door and you touch it and it's hot, then you know that fire is right there. You have to go find another way to get out the house. And if you've already done your fire drills, then hopefully you will know how to do that.
Yes, and it is important to go with these drills, because again, in the heat of the moment, panic sets in. So we want to try to make sure we have a plan in place so that everyone gets out safely.
Other things that we can do is use space heaters responsibly. So we know that, sometimes people use space heaters in their homes, but it's a space heater for a reason. It needs space. So make sure there's at least 3 feet of empty area
Around the space heater.
Yes. Another thing, the surge protectors that we use, or am I using the correct term, Elana? The multiple outlet.
Yes. Yes.
Do not overload that. Please do not overload that. You want to minimize the amount of items that you are plugging into that surge protector at one time.
And space heaters are known too. They will trip a circuit breaker if you have too many space heaters plugged in, because they can overload the system, and hopefully your circuit breaker will trip and it will actually just turn off everything.
Yep. Another key point is, if you are caught in a fire and the smoke rises, you want to get on the floor and crawl to try to get out. You don't want to to stand and try to walk through the smoke. You want to get to the lowest point, is to
get to the nearest opening, the door, the window, wherever you can get out of.
Yes. And once you are out, you have to stay out and call 911, get to the nearest neighbor. You can't go back in. Yes, we're wondering about, if someone else is still in the house. They may have gone out another exit. We may be wondering about the pets. Hopefully you were able to grab your pets before you got out the door. However, the standard rule for everybody's safety is, once you're out, stay out. And then, hopefully 911 has been contacted, and the fire department will be able to come and help extinguish the fire.
And then when we talk about, we learned as children, stop, drop, and roll. That is only if your clothes catch fire.
Yes.
Stop, drop, and roll. But if there's a fire and nothing doing you has been caught on fire, you need to get out. You need to run as fast as you can and get out. Now, if your clothes are on fire, then we go to the old adage, stop, drop, and roll.
Yes. But getting out is key.
Yes.
And so hopefully, if we remember some of those key steps, then hopefully we can, one, help decrease the risk of a fire occurring, and two, if it does, then we can be able to get ourselves and our family out safely.
Check your smoke detectors today. We talk about smoke and fire. We also need to talk about carbon monoxide.
Yes.
And carbon monoxide, we often will call the silent killer, because carbon monoxide is a gas that is colorless, tasteless, and odorless.
Yes.
You can't see it, you can't taste it, you can't smell it. You do not know that it's in your presence. Unlike smoke, you see the smoke, you start to cough. Carbon monoxide, totally different. So Dr. Wardlaw, how do we protect ourselves against carbon monoxide?
Get a carbon monoxide detector. We also have detectors, because again, you don't get many clues when carbon monoxide is
in your presence arising.
Yes. So the detector is key.
Yes. Critical. It is critical, because where does carbon monoxide typically come from, Dr. Wardlaw?
So it could come from, it could come from
the exhaust from cars.
It can come from exhaust from cars. It could come from our
heating system,
engines, our heating system. So we have to make sure that those things are appropriately maintained, and come from, if you are lighting your fireplace and your chimney has not been well maintained or open. So you have to make sure that you are following those steps to try to prevent the carbon monoxide from building up. Another thing is, what you can do is, aside from getting the smoke detector, is and maintaining your appliances or your chimney and things of that nature, your heating systems. Also, please, when you go into your garage, do not start your car until you open up the garage, because many times people will go into their garage, start the car, not open up the garage door. Carbon monoxide is there. It can take over, it can overwhelm them, and unfortunately, we can find people who have lost their lives.
Right. Or some people come home, and for some reason or another, if they stay in the car for whatever reason, for a long period of time, never make it in, they don't get out the car and go into the house. Sometimes if they leave the car running, leave the car running, all the doors are shut in the garages, the windows are up, that can lead to carbon monoxide poisoning.
Yes.
So with carbon monoxide, again, you can't see it, you can't taste it, you cannot smell it. And as the levels get higher in your body, the carbon monoxide starts to replace the oxygen. And we know that oxygen is
It's our
oxygen. Oxygen is our lifeline, as Dr. Wardlaw said. And we may start to experience some symptoms such as headache and dizziness. Sometimes you may start to have some vomiting, but
you can also, as the levels get higher, it could be some confusion, particularly in elderly.
you pass out.
Sometimes people can lose consciousness. Hopefully it will not get to this level, but it could. You don't know that it's there. Unless you have that detector, you don't know that it's there. And so the signs can be vague.
Very
vague.
vague.
People can get like, when you hear like the flu-like symptoms. It could be those symptoms of what Dr. McDonald just explained. So very vague symptoms. So again, the detector is key.
If you don't know it's there, then it's going to cause a problem. So the carbon monoxide detector is just as important as your smoke detector.
Yes. And again, if your carbon monoxide detector goes off, then of course you have to contact your local agencies. They can come, one, get out the house.
Yes.
Get out the house. And then two, you can contact your local agencies. They can come and do an investigation to see where the leak may be and then have it addressed.
Yes. So it's carbon monoxide, silent killer. Make sure you have your detectors.
Get a detector.
So let's move from fire safety, carbon monoxide poisoning, and let's move on to water safety, Dr. Wardlaw.
Well, water safety, we have talked about that in many environments, because many times when people think of water safety, they're thinking about maybe in the swimming pool or out in the beach,
the lakes.
But water safety starts at home.
Yes.
Start in your bathroom.
Yes.
Start with
the bathtub.
Yep.
Never leave your babies, toddlers in a bathtub unsupervised. Okay? They can drown in a matter of seconds. Don't leave your baby in the bathtub to run and get the phone. Don't leave your baby in the bathtub to run and get the door. Don't leave your baby in the bathtub to run and do something that you quickly are going to correct or fix. And because it can happen in a matter of seconds.
And to be honest, we are preoccupied by our phones all the time. So if you can't, leave the phone outside of the bathroom, leave it on and outside the bathroom door when you are attending to your newborns, your infants, your toddlers in the bathroom, because we can become easily distracted. And as Dr. McDonald said, it only takes a second, a couple seconds, and the child could be submerged in the water. They could flip over from their backs onto their stomachs, and you have an unfortunate incident. So if you can, try to leave the distractions out the bathroom when you're tending to your children.
And we talk about the bathtub, but it's also important to talk about buckets of water.
Please, Dr. McDonald.
So people will always say, well, what's the danger of a bucket of water? Again, toddlers are what we call top heavy. Their head is still the biggest thing on their body. So if you have a bucket of water, you leave it there, your toddler's playing, they go to look. If they fall in the water, oftentimes, even though their whole body is not in the water, their head is submerged in the water and they can't get out of the water. And they can drown from a bucket of water. So I implore anyone, if you are mopping, okay, you mopped your dining room floor, I'm going to go back and mop the living room floor. Dump that bucket of water. Never leave the bucket of water unsupervised, because your toddler will be at risk and could drown in a bucket of water.
And it doesn't even have to be a full bucket of water. It could be a small amount of water in the bottom of the bucket. But if your child is face down and doesn't have the ability to be able to get themselves out of that water,
they can drown.
Yes.
So buckets of water, we're not saving for an hour from now. Get rid of the water and just start all over again. When you're ready to go, mop the next room.
Bucket safety is very important, Dr. McDonald.
And then we move on and we talk about pool safety. So when we talk about pool safety, a couple things. Number one, teach your children how to swim. Not you personally, but get them swimming lessons. Children can learn how to swim very, very early on, and that is a life life-saving skill that we all need. So you want to make sure that your children have gotten proper swimming lessons to learn how to swim. 2, whenever you're around any body of water, the pool, make sure there is a lifeguard around to jump in and intervene when needed. But the lifeguard doesn't get you off the hook. You still have to make sure that you are watching your child. Again, putting the phone down. Again, if you have a conversation with the other person sitting next to you, you need to still be mindful of your child that's in the water. Also,
yes, because the lifeguard, now, again, they are keeping an eye
on
everybody, but you still have to be responsible for your child. We can't stress that more. You have to be responsible for your child. And you have to have all your faculties about you.
Yes.
So you can't be, 1, distracted, and 2, not under the influences of
any substances that's going to slow your reaction time. Okay, so whether or not you're drinking it, you're smoking it, whatever you're doing, you should not be doing when you are with your child around water.
Also, when you are at the pool, make sure that the kids, if they can, they have, flotation devices are good if they can't swim. But again, you also have to make sure that you are being fully aware. Now, I learned how to swim very late in life. I learned as a freshman at Temple University. That's where I learned how to swim.
Well, I learned actually in my 30s, actually when my children, when I took them to learn how to swim, the instructor looked at me and said, "You need to learn how to swim." And I learned how to swim in my 30s.
It's a life-saving survival skill.
Yes.
Now, respect the water. You still have to respect the water, because learning how to swim in a swimming pool is very different to learning out to the ocean or being at the beach. But at least having that survival skill of being able to get themselves out of the water.
Right. And we also talk about when you go to a pool, but then we also have to talk about when you have pools at your home. You have to make sure, no matter, again, if it's just a kiddie pool, that pool needs to be emptied when you are done with it. You have to be watching your child 100% of the time when you're in that pool. If you have an above the ground pool, if you have an in the ground pool, you have to make sure that, 1, that is gated off, so that your children cannot get into the pool area. Also, you want to make sure you have a proper pool covering. But there's also been instances where the pool covering has pools of water from rain, and sometimes children can drown from being from on the water that's on the pool covering. So we have to be very aware of all of these things when you are going to a pool in your neighborhood, or if you're going to a house that has a pool, or if you have a pool in your home. You have to have all these safety measures in place.
What about pool alarms, Dr. McDonald?
Well, you can have, if someone enters an area where the alarm will go off.
Yes. It doesn't take away the supervision.
Exactly.
Of it.
But it's another tool in the toolbox if you have a pool to know that something is going on in that area.
So safety at home, safety at the local recreation center or the local pool, and then also safety at the beach. 1,
swim where the lifeguards are.
Please.
If there are no lifeguards, please don't swim.
Please say it again, Dr. McDonald.
No. Swim where the lifeguards are.
It is very important, because again, we know that these rip currents can come.
We hear about them every year.
So we just have to make sure that we are very mindful. And please listen to the instruction of the lifeguard. Sometimes they will say it's dangerous to go out at this time because of the rip currents. Please take heed.
Yes.
And please follow those instructions.
Yes.
Because it can happen in the blink of an eye, even with experienced swimmers. So we have to make sure that we are being very, very mindful of that.
Yes. Now, as we move on from water safety, let's discuss gun safety.
Gun safety. Gun violence is an epidemic. It's a health epidemic.
And as we discuss gun safety, we have to recognize that accidental injuries from guns has become one of the leading causes of death in our children from 0 to 17 years of age.
When you say the leading cause, Dr. McDonald, that's above car
accidents.
That's above
cancer
and illnesses and cancer. And these are preventable.
Yes.
These are preventable deaths, which is the number 1 cause of death in our children and our teens.
We have a significant amount of guns in our communities. So we need to be aware of where the guns are and making sure that our children do not have access to those guns.
And when you say where the guns are, you mean in our home.
In your home.
Yes.
In your home. If you are the owner of a gun, you are responsible for that gun. When we talk about knowing where your gun is, you need to make sure that your gun is stored safely and locked away where your children do not have access to it. You need to make sure that the bullets are separate from the actual gun. Children have what we call curious eyes and curious hands. Some parents will say, well, my child knows not to touch a gun. You never want to give the child the opportunity to prove to you otherwise, because they can and they will.
Yeah.
So we need
touch a lot of things that they're not supposed to touch.
Exactly. So we need to make sure that you're not giving them the opportunity to actually come in contact with a gun. So parents, I implore you, if you have a gun in your home, you are responsible for that gun. It is your responsibility to protect your children.
Again, know where the gun is, make sure that it is properly stored, make sure that the ammunition is separate from the gun.
When we talk about guns, we talk about accidental injuries, but we also have to be aware of the non-accidental injuries. We have plenty of statistics that showing that our children are dying from unnecessary homicides, unnecessary shootings. So again, if you have a teenager, you need to be in your teenager's room. As I tell my children, I pay the mortgage, I can come into this room. I can check out this room. You need to know what your children have in their rooms. You need to know what's going on with your children, because again, our children are dying at a much higher rate of homicides. So we have to make sure that we are trying to protect our children as much as possible.
And when we say go in their rooms, yeah, go in their rooms and look under their beds. Yes.
Look in their drawers.
Look in their drawers.
Look in their closets. Look in their book bags.
Yes. My house,
my rules. That's it.
It's that simple. And so I have teenagers. Dr. McDonald has a teen and
an adult.
And adult. So again, it is our responsibility to protect our children. We can't leave it up to the police. We can't leave it up to the mayor. We can't leave it up to the school. We can't leave it up to the pastor. We have got to start in our own homes. Yes, we want that support from everybody else. But again, we are responsible for our children.
Yes. So your gun, your responsibility.
Now also, just like when your children go to other people's houses, there's a chance that they could have a gun there.
So please ask them, do you have a gun in your home? If you do, can you make sure that it's locked, that it's stored away? And if someone gets offended because you asked them that question, then maybe you should consider whether or not your child should be going to that home.
So very valid point. And as Dr. McDonald always reminds, like when she has conversations with her families and say, do you have, when you send your child to another family's home, do they have a car seat for your child?
Exactly.
It should be a normal part of the conversation. We need to normalize asking how to keep our children safe.
And when we talk about what we call anticipatory guidance, things that we talk to our parents about in the office about how to keep your children safe and what to expect, I always talk about smoke detectors. I talk about car seats. I talk about guns in the home. So it's a very normal conversation that I have with my patients every time they come into the office to remind them, if you have a gun, you have a child, you need to make sure that it's locked away properly.
And unfortunately, well, guns, they have the ability to destroy our lives on many levels. One, if the victim is fortunate enough to survive, sometimes they have
post-traumatic stress.
They have post-traumatic stress. They have mental illness that is associated with the gun incident,
because the incident may not lead to death, but it can alter your life significantly. And not only does it alter the life of the individual who was the victim, it alters the lives of their family members.
Yes.
Their loved ones, their friends.
Yes, it can affect the ability to be able to maintain their physical health. They could have some physical restraints now. It could affect the ability to be able to continue school in a normal fashion.
Or sports.
Or sport.
Or the other activities that they love to do.
So,
Dancing, just walking around. Those things are hugely impactful. So we want to try to prevent all of those things.
Gun violence. It is a health care epidemic.
We're all in this together. We have to protect ourselves and protect our communities.
Yes. And it affects us emotionally, physically. It can affect us financially.
Yes.
The person is an adult and they're no longer able to provide for themselves. So it has an effect that can go far and wide. So please, gun violence is preventable. We have to make sure that we are
doing our part.
Something about it.
Let's just talk about general car safety when we're in the car. So as a pediatrician, starting from birth, you can't leave the hospital without a car seat. So not only do you have to show that you have a car seat for your baby, please make sure that you know how to install the car seat. And if you don't know, oftentimes the individual at the hospital can help you. There are plenty of videos on YouTube. Read the instructions that come along with the car seat. But it's important not only to have a car seat, but to make sure that the car seat is properly stored in the car correctly. Dr. McDonald, isn't there a car seat test that parents have to do before they leave the hospital so they can demonstrate that they know how to properly install the car seat into the car? Well, not necessarily.
Okay.
But we do have children who are premature have to go through a car seat test.
Okay.
They want to make sure that, depending on the position that they're in, that doesn't affect their breathing and things like that. But not every hospital is looking to make sure you know how to put the car seat in. They're definitely making sure you have a car seat.
Okay, but I had to go through the car seat test, so I thought maybe
yes.
Okay, so that's not standard.
Right, and it depends on the hospital, but every hospital. Well, if you don't have a car seat, they're going to tell you can't take the baby home.
And I mean, again, it's second nature now. Everybody knows that child needs a car seat, but again, installing it appropriately
is important.
Yes.
And not only when we talk from infancy, as they start to grow, the car seats change. So we want to make sure that we're paying attention to the age of the child, the weight of the child, the height of the child, because that will also determine what type of car seat that your child should be in. Listen, when we know better, we do better. Dr. Wardlaw and I, we don't want to date ourselves, but when we were younger, a car that was made for 5 people may have 8 people in there.
Yeah.
People sitting on each other's laps, the baby sitting on somebody's lap. You got the windows rolled up, people are smoking. We know better, we do better. Car seats save lives. Make sure your children are in their car seats.
Yeah, Dr. McDonald has definitely dated us. Yes, so we are doing better now. Absolutely.
Yes. When we know better, we do better. Car seats are standard. And in addition to talk about car seats, we have to talk about seat belts.
Now, this is basic information. And you're probably wondering, why are we talking about this? Because we see the ramifications every day of people not following these basic rules. So we have to remind everyone.
You have to make sure that if you're not in your seatbelt, the car shouldn't be moving. Okay? Very important. And also, children under 12 should be in the back seat.
And so in the back seat, again, I don't know if, I've been in a car accident where the airbags have deployed. Airbags are very, very powerful. If your child is in the front seat and an airbag deploys, they could receive significant injury. So it's not just, we don't want them in the back seat. There are particular we don't want them in the front seat. There are particular reasons, safety reasons as to why the child needs to be in the back seat.
And one other thing about the car seat, if your child is less than 2 years of age, not only is it in the back seat, that car seat should still be rear facing the back window. Studies have shown that is the safest place for them to be. So please follow the recommendations for the car seats. I often remind my teenagers who are very honest when I ask them about car seats, about their seatbelts, and they say, "No, I don't wear my seatbelt." And then I ask them, "Well, what happens if you don't wear your seatbelt? What happens if there's a car accident?" When they tell me what can happen, I say, okay, so why would you not wear your seatbelt? So it is important. And we as parents, again, our children, sometimes they do what we say, but oftentimes they do what we do. So make sure we're wearing our seatbelt.
Most of the time they do what we do. And so we have to be an example. And so there are plenty of adults riding around without a seatbelt. But again, We just try to provide the information, and most of us know better.
Yes.
But again, we're rushed for whatever reason. We're not taking that 2 seconds to put the seatbelt on. There's no excuse. So we have to make sure that we are being responsible as adults, being the example for our children, and making sure that it is happening every time that we get into the vehicle. Again, why are we having this conversation? Because we're still seeing the fallout from it.
The seatbelt is no good after the accident.
Mm-hmm.
And as I remind my teenagers, we can't predict an accident. Otherwise, they wouldn't happen.
Yeah.
So please put your seatbelt on.
And no matter, you could be the best driver on the planet.
What about the other drivers?
You have to be mindful of those things.
Yes.
So seatbelt, it's part of our lives. It's a requirement.
And when we also talk about car safety, put your phone away when you are driving. I've been driving for 30 years. The phone is a distraction. You need to put your phone away. Even the most experienced driver will be distracted by their phone. So you really do not want to have your phone out because, again, you need to be aware of everything that's going on inside your car, outside your car, around your car. And you also have to be aware of not only the other drivers, but the individuals walking in the middle of the street, heads down on their phone.
Yep, because they're on their phone.
Yes.
They're not paying attention to you.
Yes. So you have to be aware. So please put your phone away.
Another thing, while we are driving, please, when the school bus stops and the stop sign comes out,
That means
traffic has to be stopped both ways.
that means you.
Stop.
Please don't try to go around the school bus.
Please.
Our children are on those buses. So please make sure. I know you're in a rush. I know you're trying to get to work, trying to get your child to school, trying to get to wherever you need to be. But please, our precious children are on those buses. So please just take the time to stop and wait for the stop sign to go back in.
And drive the speed limit when you're going through the school zones.
Yes.
Again, our children are unpredictable. They can dash out at any minute, any time. We have to protect them. So listen, we might have to be at our next destination very quickly, but it's not worth a child's life.
Yes.
So please follow those rules. And also, now, we live in a good old state of Pennsylvania now, and here in Philadelphia, that if you get caught with a device
In your hand,
while you are driving, guess what?
you can get a ticket.
You can get a ticket.
Okay.
And so hopefully that will cut down on the use of cell phone devices while people are driving, so they can be fully aware of their surroundings as they are on the road.
Yes. And as we move from car safety, let's talk about bike safety. Let's talk about bike safety. If you are riding a bike, you need to wear a helmet.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I asked my youngest patients in the office, do you know how to ride a bike? Yes. Do you wear your helmet? Some will say yes. Many will say, well, I don't have a helmet. And my response is, oh, your mother, father will get you a helmet. But I also say, well, why do we need to wear a helmet? Because some will say, I don't need a helmet. And I say, well, what do you think we're trying to protect with your helmet? And they will say, we're trying to protect my head. Well, what's in your head? Your brain. Your brain controls your whole entire body. We can fix broken bones. We cannot fix broken brains. So it is hugely important. From the minute your child is getting on their bike, please make sure that they have their helmet. And anything that has wheels, the bikes, the scooters. What else has the wheels, Dr. McDonald? Dr. Wardlaw? The skateboard.
Skateboards, you have to be mindful of these things because, again, if a child falls and injures themselves, and, Dr. McDonald and I are talking, children, teenagers, but adults too. We see plenty of adults riding bikes or scooters without a helmet on. And it might sound trivial, but it is trivial until it's not, till you have a brain injury.
Yes.
That is devastating to you or your child. So you have to take heed to these things. And again, respect the bike lane.
Yes, please.
Respect the bike lane, please.
All in a rush. We're all in a rush, but please, they're bike lanes for a reason. We do want to protect our bikers, but we also want to make sure that we're wearing our helmets. My patients, again, my patients will say, but my mom and dad know how to drive. Or, I know how to ride. I'm a very good rider, Dr. McDonald. I ride my bike very well. And I said, I know you can ride your bike very well. But what about that car that comes around the corner that doesn't see you? Or what if you fall off the bike because you hit a rock or you hit a curb? You still need to wear your helmet.
Yes. So please be mindful, trying to keep ourselves safe on every level. And so with that, we're going to wrap up this episode. Be mindful of the tips that we just discussed with fire safety, water safety, gun safety, car safety, and bike safety. Yes. With that, we'll see you in our next episode. Thank you for tuning in. Come on with that, cheese. Okay. I think we got it all in.